Hi, y'all. Welcome to the Entangled Cynic podcast number 2. Today's episode starts kind of a new little segment thing. This one is called Between the Pixels. And just to get this straight out there, these podcasts are for you, just so you know. So, and there's a reason that it's called, this particular one is called Between the Pixels. And I'm going to talk about something that I don't usually talk about to normal people. But I'm going to talk about a dream I had the other night. And that was a really weird dream. If you're my generation, you hopefully know the show Twin Peaks. And if you watched the show Twin Peaks, hopefully, or at least the movie Fire Walk with Me, which was fabulous, by the way, then you will hopefully remember that there is a section of forest where the Black Lodge entrance was. And it's kind of very creepy, and it's this really dark stand of trees that are bare, and it's just, anyway. So if you'd imagine that kind of a piece of forest, and within it is a silver Airstream trailer. If you don't know what it is, look it up. And inside the trailer, I was inside the trailer, and the in portion, as well as there was a deck, an exterior deck kind of extending out from the side of it. And that area was separated from the main interior by a curtain of beads. Now, this is a 1970s sepia colored dream, okay? So I walked through the curtain, and on the floor in front of me, just kicking back, relaxing, and tripping balls, is a guitarist who is very, very famous for being in a band that really hit hard in the mid to late 70s with a best-selling of all-time record that is still often critically acclaimed today. And his, over there on the left, while he's tripping balls, over there on the left, his then girlfriend was plucking away on her guitar, and she was probably a little bit out of it too. But the weird thing was that I had just walked in on this, and I knew exactly what was going on, but I had no such experience going on. So he gets up, or not really stands up, but sits up and kind of looks at me, and he says something like, "I see what we really are. I see everything. It's amazing." And in my infinite dream wisdom, I discerned that he was thinking that I could never possibly believe what he was seeing. But in my wisdom, my dream wisdom, I basically just looked at him, very curious. I could feel the expression on my face, and said, "I know exactly what you're seeing. That's how I have always seen." Then I woke up. Now, the interesting thing about this is that for the last few months, I have been going through some really, really weird personal stuff. And some call it spiritual growth or whatever. And if you know me at all, you know that I am the last person on earth who is ever going to spout anything religious or what have you. I am not a religious person. I do not like religion. The institution of religion is sinister. Okay, it is born out of sinister roots. It is born out of control. It is born out of manipulation. But that being said, I try to be a very logically and ethically and morally motivated person. And oddly enough, I've always kind of integrated my own instincts with that. So, I've had the feeling that there are, guardians out there looking after me because, man, I've done some dumb shit. I done some dumb shit that I don't know how I survived. but I did, and it was through some sort of grace. And that being the case, well, call it spirituality, call it what you want. But I'm more in the understanding that energy is everything, and that we are energy, and everything is energy. And this goes back to very hermetic principles. This goes back to times before our current iteration of humanity really has had any sense of science or much sense of quote unquote logic at all. But the fact of the matter is, in Hermeticism, there are 7 laws. The first law is all is mental. Second law is everything always vibrates. Now, if you have any understanding of physics, you know that we have kind of reached that particular point where we realize that everything is made of energy, and that energy is constantly in motion. It is constantly vibrating. It constantly has a frequency, and that frequency can be either high or low, and that depends on how many crests or troughs are passing a particular point in a given point of time. I'm going to go over this, scientifically in a different thing here. But if you want to go more into that, then you can check out my website, jacarlton.com/store. There is a free, I say free version of my Thrive Empowerment for Life, or Empowered for Life. I guess you could call it a course. And it kind of goes into the rudiments of these facts that we have now, quote unquote, relearned as physics. And if you find that you're more interested in it, then you can, move on up. You can go from the explorer level to the adept level, to the apprentice level to the adept level. And then there's coaching involved and stuff like that if you want. There's extra videos, things like that. And online, most importantly, with the adept version of it. What I'm hoping to do is to be able to set up, live Q&As and stuff like that, either online on YouTube or through Zoom calls that I can later post on a channel for subscribers. But anyway, so the point is that going back to this is how I've always seen the world. It's very strange. My mom used to call me Eagle Eyes. She could drop a tiny little earring back into somewhere in our living room, which was filled with gold shag carpeting. And I could be, at the very end of the living room, and she would say, do me a favor, go find my earring back. And I would look, I would scan the carpeting, and I would see it from, half the room away, under a chair, whatever it is, but somehow I would manage to see it. And I had fabulous vision. I think she didn't want to call me Hawkeye, though, because of like Last of the Mohicans or something like that. But anyways, Eagle Eyes. So it was not a problem. I could see things always very, very clearly. The weirdest part about that's just standard vision. That's rods and cones and muscles and the focusing of the lens. I get that. But there were times when I was younger, when you're younger, you kind of look up into the blue sky and watch the clouds go by. And friends and I would do that. But there was always something that I was seeing, and nobody else ever admitted to seeing it if they did. Nobody else ever said that they saw it. In fact, they looked at me like I was insane. When one day I asked, are those molecules I'm seeing? Or are those, atoms or something like that? Because, they're like, how can you possibly see that? Nobody can see those with the naked eye. And fair enough and true. Yes, no, we can't see those with the naked eye. But there was always something that was different. Some people, when they see something as smooth as glass, unmoving, unbroken, something that is has gone through vitrification, for instance, like when sand becomes glass, you see it is smooth, and you can't feel, almost any texture other than smoothness. But if I'm looking at it straight on, it's as if I'm looking at an old-fashioned television set, the kind with a cathode ray tube, the kind that I grew up with. If you've ever seen one of those, there was a time when you undoubtedly looked into a corner and you could see the little boxes that are pixels. And there is a definite delineation between them. But even if I'm looking at the smoothest thing on earth, there is something, and it is probably potentially something in my vision, but or was something in my vision, because let's face it, I'm older now, and my vision has been strained to its limits upon occasion, where it looks to me like I'm looking at pixels, like I'm looking at a really tight Jackson Pollock type painting, a pointillistic painting, where the closer I get to it, or the more I focus on it, the more I can see that it's not as smooth as the world would have us believe. It all looks granular to me. Now, that being said, yeah, of course, it's not like I can go ahead and walk through walls. Please don't ever let that happen. I'd probably get stuck. There have been a lot of TV shows that worry about that particular thing. But it's just, I find it very, very strange, because when I have asked in the past other people about this, do you see the granular nature of this? Are you seeing this? And they're like, what the hell are you talking about? You are insane. No, that's crazy. It's smooth as glass. It is glass. It's smooth. There's no granulation to it anymore. It's been vitrified. It's been melted and solidified. And that's not what I'm talking about. But what I'm talking about is something a little bit different. And through exploration of a lot of these properties of physics and vibration and quantum physics and things like that, is the idea that you can see, or there are some people out there who can, quote unquote, see the veil of separation between this world and, or between the limitations, let me put it like this, not necessarily our world, but between the limitations of the visual spectrum of our physical body. There is a limitation. And again, go back to Thrive Empowered for Life, and I go into that because there is an incredible electromagnetic spectrum all around us, and that is because everything is energy. So everything is electromagnetic energy. It is all part of the spectrum. But as human beings, we have a very, very narrow range of vision, visual capacity. So it has been posited that there are some people who can see to the point of being able to acknowledge that there is a wall of separation between what we can see visually because of our physical bodies versus what exists on the other side of it. And even as a kid, I was always interested in breaking that fourth wall. I'm sure there are many people who worked really, really, really hard to break that fourth wall themselves. Usually, it's the kind of experience that shaman and medicine men and basically healers experience. So take that for what you will. There was also a lot of experimentation with it in the 60s. And I used to joke that I probably had too much fun at one point in time in the 60s and came right back. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that I've always tried to break the fourth wall. I always wanted to see what was beyond the veil. So there were a lot of opportunities for me to try different methods, meditation, yes, exercise, yes, even fasting, though most people who know me will probably never believe that. What was it? Surpassing over 100 hours of without sleeping. Yeah, that was not fun. And maybe that's what did it. I don't know. My mother used to tell a story that, or used to tell me that when I was born basically a blue baby syndrome. So basically lack of oxygenation. That when I was born, I was not breathing. So clinically, technically dead. Yeah. Kind of puts a whole new spin on that. Did your mother have any kids who lived type of deal? It's like, yeah. But again, neither here nor there. So there was the blue baby thing. And I'm not sure I ever, I totally believe that. But the other one that kind of throws me for a little bit of a loop is that she had once told me that when we lived in a suburb of Chicago, and our neighbor, her best friend at the time, had a pool, and that I fell into it and technically had drowned. Now, and that my mother saved me. Now, I'm not sure I believe that, because first off, my mother couldn't swim, but if her friend was there and her friend could swim because she had a pool, it's entirely possible that, I would have been picked up from the bottom, and then my mom would have given me CPR or something like that, which is a distinct possibility. So, but at the time, there was also a song, or not a song, there was a movie, I'll get it right yet, about a blind pianist who basically, I think in real life it was his daughter that drowned, and he rescued her and saved her life. The movie was called If You Could See What I Hear, and Mark Singer of sorry, not Beef Master, but Beast Master fame. The original one, not any of the knockoffs, because no knockoffs. Just go to the original with him and Tanya Roberts and Rip Torn and John Amos, and oh yeah, gorgeous tiger and two cute little ferrets and a gorgeous hawk. It was a hawk. Maybe it was an eagle. I don't know. But anyway, so that was a really big movie at the time when I was a teenager, or it came about when I was a teenager, but my mom would tell me this story long before then. So I don't know if it was an embellishment or whatever, but, if it is true, then it is quite possible that I may have already had two near death and or, kind of death experiences with coming back. So I don't know. I take it with a grain of salt, but I have seen enough NDE videos, and I have actually talked to enough people who've had NDEs. And I've seen enough people that have pierced the veil with their vision as they were very close to dying, like as in right around the corner from it, and seeing things that most body-bound individuals just can't see until they're that close, until they've got one foot in both worlds or in each world. And there was something else I was going to say about that. But, yes, and there have been times, one time in particular that I'm thinking of in the past, where someone that I loved was, sorry, very close to dying and was stuck, I felt, inside their body and could not get out, as it were, when I think, if I recall, my last words were, excuse me, we're going to be okay. You did good. And you can rest. Then the next morning they were gone. So, sorry. Yeah. There's only a couple of people that I've ever told that to, so again, if you've been there, oh, sorry, my chicken's done. Give me just a moment here. Okay, so I'm sorry. Anyway, getting back to what we were talking about, yeah, that was, I haven't told that to a whole lot of people in my life, and obviously because it's very, very, I guess, not really painful, but I still feel the loss a lot. But anyway, the whole point of all this, and this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg here. One of the reasons that I am sharing this and that I am doing this again is for the people who need to hear it. And if you need to hear this, if you need to know that somebody has the same kind of strange ideas or feelings or experiences that you think that you might have had, then you're not alone. You're not the only one. And, you know, it's okay to be confused about it. It's okay to not really understand it, because understanding comes when we are finished with this particular life. And before we come back for the next one, because they wipe our memory. Sometimes they do a shit-ass job of it. Something else that I have not told other people very often, there's maybe half a dozen people on this planet, if that many left, that might know that I do believe that I have had glimpses of my death in 2 other lives. So I'm not going to quite go there. Not with this episode, but again, I want you to know that you're not alone and that there is more. It's not just what you can see, what you can feel, what you can hear as a human being. Our senses, our physical limitations are so minuscule compared to everything that is out there, compared to the energy that we are part of. If you're a sci-fi fan, then maybe you've watched Babylon 5 in one of the earlier episodes. I can't remember which season. I think it might be season 2. I don't know. But and she says to one of the commanders, whether it's Commander Sinclair or Captain Sheridan, "We are star stuff." And you know, that's been said a bazillion times in a bazillion different ways, and we are, because star stuff is just energy. No matter how solid something seems, it's still always in motion. So the densest material that we can imagine is always in motion because it is made up of energy. That's just really, really tightly packed. We are part of that energy. Some of us are trying to learn how to I won't say manipulate it, but to draw from that energy. Everybody's trying to manifest this, manifest that, make a wish board, gratitude, attitude, gratitude, all that good stuff. Well, yeah, the attitude of gratitude, but if you're not feeling it, and if it's performative, you're not going to get anything. You're not going to get anywhere. If you're doing, okay, yes, I'm really, really grateful just because I have this. I have this, and I have this, and I have that, and I have this, and I have this, and I'm really grateful for it, but you don't feel it. You're not sitting there feeling it. These changes come with emotion. The elevation of a person's frequency is not performative. I'm going to tell you this right now. If you are on this journey, if you are trying to elevate yourself, because there's supposed to be this split coming between humans and within humanity, and I'll tell you, I'm tired of being on the bottom. And don't take that in the way that it is meant to be taken. Or if you want to, yeah, okay, I'm all about Lilith. Okay, I want to be on top. But point is that I want to ascend. I don't want to stay stuck somewhere in darkness, in despair. I have experienced darkness. I have experienced despair. It is my nature to be an experiencer so that I can utilize those experiences to help see more clearly the possibilities that help to elevate a person, that help to elevate my patients, that help to elevate my clients, that help to elevate my friends when they hurt. So that being said, that is my purpose. That is why I do this. I do this for you, but I do it because I am driven to do it. I don't believe in altruism. I don't believe that we do things just because it's the right thing to do. I believe we do things that are the right thing to do because they make us feel in line with our purpose or with what we know is right. And that's not altruistic. That is honoring your soul's calling, your soul's purpose. Not to be confused with soul, S-O-L-E, but S-O-U-L, purpose. And so that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this podcast. And that's why I'm going to get angry sometimes and I'm going to curse like a sailor. And anybody who knows me knows that I can make a sailor blush if I really let go of the cursing. But I'm going to try not to do that. But it will happen sometimes. That being said, I am trying to fulfill also my basic needs. So I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers. If you like what you hear, if you at least find it entertaining or interesting, please like, share, and subscribe. Please comment. Please help me get to 1,000 subscribers so I can get monetized. Because honestly, at some point in time, I would like to be able to retire and still make some money, because at the way things are going, retirement is inching further and further away, and I'm already in my mid-50s. Actually, I'm past my mid-50s. I'm over the mid-50 hump, okay? So please help me get to 1,000 subscribers. I do have a personal power line of merch at my Redbubble store. It is Entangled Cynic at Redbubble. But if you go into my link tree or my beacons tree, then you'll find my Redbubble merch store there. And I've got some really pretty designs and stuff like that. I do work with ChatGPT. So if you're concerned about any of that, yeah, I do. First off, I create my own verbal content, my own, wordy stuff. But when it comes to art, visual art, I'm about as adept at that as, well, let's just say my stick figures need chiropractors. Actually, I could use a visit to one myself, but neither here nor there. So I also, great news, my great news. So total wish come true, finally wish come true. I've been writing since I was about 12 and writing books. I started off trying to write short stories. I couldn't do that because they all turned really big and weird. And I cannot write a simple story to save my life. Anybody who knows me and has read my stuff knows that. My stories are not simple. Sometimes they're shorter, but so I did go ahead and recently purchase reviews for my Heroes of the Line series. Now, I did it in a weird order because book 5 took me 10 years to write, and honestly, it is, I finished it late last year, or was it? No, yeah, it was late last year. And I was working with a promotion company, and they've been doing a wonderful job getting the information about the book out via social media for me because I am extremely inept when it comes to social media use. But anyway, so I started with book 5 because that is the most important book. And again, it's the best thing I have ever written, particularly conceptually. But anyway, so the review for book 5 was more, it made my heart fly. It made my heart soar. It was more than I expected, and it probably even more than I had really had any desire or any desire to hope for, because when you hope that hard, a lot of times your hopes get dashed. And then 2 weeks after that one, then book 1 review came out, and I was really nervous about book 1, The Coming of Shades, because the couple of reviews that I had gotten on it from Amazon were a little bit, I mean, they were great, and I'm deeply appreciative of all of them, but I have had reservations about it. Is it too slow? Is it too much this? Is it too much that? But it's a 5-book arc for these characters, and that one came out just last week. I believe it came out on the 4th, Monday, August 4th, and I was peeking at it with one eye open, and it floored me. It was, again, it was a glowing positive review. And it was like, oh my God, somebody finally gets it. Aside from the people that I have foisted the books upon for their opinions and use as betas and stuff like that, all of whom I deeply appreciate, because without you guys, it would not have been possible to make all these books. And you know, I would have fallen off the beaten path a long time ago, and I almost did I did for several years. I quit writing, but that was ignoring a part of me that it almost killed me to ignore, and I'm not being hyperbolic. You can't ignore something that your soul is driven to do, or your heart is driven to do. Anyway, I'm going to kind of stop here because, yikes, I didn't realize I was babbling on this long. Anyway, most important thing, takeaways for today, going back to how you see the world. When you start looking for the positives in life, when you start looking for the miracles, you'll start to see them. And when you do, your world opens up in ways that you can't imagine. But this world does not want you to open your eyes to true power, your true power. It doesn't want you to know that you are powerful, that your vision is exactly what it's supposed to be for who you are in that moment. That when you see that little something out of the corner of your eye, in some circles we used to call it the wee ones coming to check on us. But they didn't like being looked at. And maybe maybe it is the wee ones, but maybe it's the ones that we carry with us too, or who carry us through the hard times. Anyway, I apologize for the emotionalism. I'm not usually like this. But anyway, so you are why I'm doing these podcasts. You are my purpose, my soul's purpose. So please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe. Again, help me focus more on this and getting good things out there into the world. And hopefully we will see you next week, where we are going to talk about your soul purpose or the hustle. Which is it? So it's going to be another Between the Pixels episode. And that kind of goes to the whole conversation that we had earlier about being able to want to peer between pixels on a CRT from when we were kids, because we all did it, if you had a CRT TV. Anyway, with love and much appreciation and gratitude for y'all. And hopefully we'll see you next week. Thanks for being here. Bye now.